Hello, everyone, and thanks for attending another seminar about the WEBCON Way. This one is all about our remote work applications. We have deliberately avoided capitalizing on a trend of the day or something to that effect. So you won't see us, and you haven't seen us calling attention to applications tied to a particular event. It's just not our style to do that kind of thing. We kind of think that you need WEBCON BPS for any of a number of things, not just one purpose. But we have noticed one trend that is actually pretty important and pretty ubiquitous. And it's actually driven by more than one factor, but certainly events in the first half and probably throughout the entire year of 2020 have definitely called a lot of attention to remote work. And this is something that is certainly, how about this? It's happening a lot more right now, but it's going to keep happening for years upon years, and it's already been happening. It has increased radically, and we thought we would, rather than focus on an event, focus on a trend. So if the reaction to a radical increase in remote work was making sure everybody had connectivity, making sure everyone had communication software, VPN type software, teamwork and chat software, remote access to email and applications. Look, that was all important. Making sure you were connected is actually a fantastic and very, very important first step. But it is the first step. We've actually gotten used to having a lot of people working remotely. And because of that, we kind of need to pivot to talking about continuity. There are a lot of business processes that tend to work without really thinking about it when everybody's in the same place. And those tend to not necessarily work so well when most of your workforce, or at least a large part of it, is decentralized. And so in order to ensure business continuity, we have created a set of applications, and it's 8 of them to be exact. And we have quite a few. I'll lay them out here on the screen, but we're actually going to touch on each one of these in turn. But it's 8. And they've actually been taken from a lot of our own experiences. WEBCON is very much, at our headquarters at least, a everybody goes to the office type of company. WEBCON is based in Poland. I'm based in the United States. So I'm actually a remote worker all the time. That said, we have an office here, but generally speaking, the work style is a little bit different on this side of the Atlantic. So we're used to remote work. Headquarters was not. They wound up doing a lot of things to scramble to make sure lots and lots of people could work happily from home. And we wound up coming up with these. They turned out to be pretty important to us. We think they're important to you too. And that's why we've turned them all into templates that you can get yourself. So let's deal with these one at a time, and let's start with employee profiles. I'm going to slide over here. Now, I happen to have a lot of virtual desktops open right now. I've color-coded them so that they're a little bit easier to tell apart. And the one we're going to spend most of our time on is this one that's in yellow. The character I'm playing is Tom Jones here. Tom is got a fair number of privileges, just so you understand. This one over here in, I don't know what you would call it, copper or salmon, maybe something like that. This would be Tom's manager. And just you have some more grounding in what's going on. We have multiple other users. All of these people report to Tom. So we'll cover some of them in time, I promise. Now, we want to talk about employee profiles first. And employee profiles are our ways of determining, well, this is our employee dashboard. I actually want to focus on this first. This is a list that's automatically maintained based on everybody involved in the organization. And there are multiple ways to make this work. You can bring on new people in an automated fashion. You can bring on new people in a manual fashion. Let me go back up here to administration and show you initial setup. So initial setup is pretty easy. We simply want you to import users, and you can get them from one of three places. You can identify people based on their email addresses and import them out of an Excel file. Or if you're running these applications, if you've downloaded them and installed them in an on-premises server to work with Windows Active Directory, fine, you set up synchronization with Windows Active Directory. In many cases, we suspect that you'll be synchronizing with Azure Active Directory, and that's great. In all three of these cases, you can either manually identify users, or you can, excuse me, synchronize with users that exist in other places. So for example, if I were to do this manually, I would add new details on how to contact different people. So for example, without going into a lot of fuss, if you didn't use Office 365 and you had an organization of a manageable number of users, you could do everything from here. I strongly suspect you'd be importing a spreadsheet. And if you do that, every one of these people will be contacted automatically and asked to acknowledge their login request, and then we can store single sign-on credentials and not have to prompt them for individual usernames and passwords. We tend to prefer to work that way. But the point is, you identify either manually specified users, or if you're bringing in users synchronized from Azure AD, here are all my Azure AD users. I could search for, let's see, whoops, no, I don't want to, oh, actually that would work, but let's do this. There, Wayne, I want Wayne to become part of the organization. So I click next, and we're going to create an import package, and then I can do this, and it will create a user profile for Wayne and anyone else I mention, and set up tasks so that Wayne can create user profile information for himself. Now, in truth, I have already imported Wayne. So let's go over to where he is, because I actually have noticed, let me see, I believe purple, yep, purple is Wayne. Let's go to Wayne's tasks. One of them ought to be setting up his employee profile. And in WEBCON land, if you're not familiar with the way we work, we have an option to provide a unified view of all tasks related to all workflows and all processes. And in this particular case, I recently turned this on so I could see current process status, but that's not a requirement. In fact, it's not the default. Normally, it kind of looks like this. So I have a number of tasks waiting for me to complete, but I need to do this one first. And this one wants me to identify how to contact me. I also need to provide a home address. Let's do that. Let's see. There we go. That's a decent address. I am in sales. I report to Tom. Great. Let's do that. Now it wants a quick survey of my home office conditions. And let me see. I would say that, how do I want to put this? I have a I have a poor mobile connection at the moment, and I don't really have VPN software, at least not that I'm aware of. And video conferencing and audio conferencing, I'm just not sure. This is important. I'm going to click next, and we'll move along. Now, we want to know when I am normally in the office. I don't necessarily have to be in the office. I just need to indicate when I'm working. And the norm in this particular organization, these defaults were set up in advance. You can change them, is 8 o'clock until 4:30, 30-minute lunch break at 12 noon, I suppose. I'll leave these defaults. Just understand you can and you probably should change them. And if people have work schedules that don't conform to the defaults, then adjust them. In fact, why don't we just say on Mondays, Wayne tends to work from 9 until 5 and just work straight through. All right. And in fact, we could say on Tuesdays, he starts late and ends late. Let's do that. And Wayne is staying home. We need to resolve what to do about his connectivity situation, but that's okay. Now I'm going to hit submit. All right, and there are other things going on here. We'll deal with them when the time comes. All right, this allows me to come back and let's go back to yellow. That's where I am. And I can take a look at employee profiles and see if there are any flagged issues that I need to take care of. That's probably out of scope for this, but I do have a report that will show me which employees have indicated that their connectivity issues are prohibitive. So anyway, that's that. And that's what employee profiles look like. You set that up once, and then you keep working. So let's jump back and move on to the next one, which is the employee dashboard. And each and every person within the organization has access to an employee dashboard. Let's go back to Wayne for a minute. And I'm going to click here. And if you're not familiar with WEBCON BPS, this is the unified view of all applications. And at the moment, we're showing every application Wayne has the ability to see. And we're also showing Wayne every task he has waiting for him to perform. And also, if we can also see any items that the search engine and the AI facility are indicating that might be relevant to him. It could be things like someone on his team created it, or he's been assigned a task, or it might just be something where he's been identified in a person or group field in something. The whole thing is quite filterable and such. But let's go back here to the home page and look at every application he can do. He could go into individual applications, particularly to create certain kinds of requests, but we created an all-up view called Employee Profile that essentially shows him, what do you people want from me now? That would be all my pending tasks. And it's also viewable here in a quick summary, but they're listed explicitly down here. Here's his ability to edit his own profile in case any of his details change. Here's a place to indicate presence information. And actually, this is kind of important. We need to have Wayne punch in. And this is this is where Wayne can assign tasks to other people, request equipment, get help from the help desk. It's one-stop shopping for everything. It's a custom dashboard that we built. A normal dashboard for a lot of applications looks somewhat different from this. For example, if I were to go to, let's see, this is a different user, and we went to, let's say the Mailroom application. On the Mailroom application, we see the ability to make requests. We see a description of the application and identifying information for the person that owns it. And we have access to individual reports that list work in progress. But generally speaking, this is what a normal WEBCON application looks like unless you create a custom dashboard. We enumerate the dashboards and reports you might care about. We have buttons to start new activities. We have reports over here to watch what's going on. And if it makes sense to have an aggregated view of multiple things, you can create custom dashboards for it. But the default is this. Oh, and here's an audit trail of everything going on at the moment. It's actually a good way to start an application to give you a view of everything that's going on. That said, some people are very fond of having a dashboard with just the stuff germane to their personal work experience right in front of them, front and center. That's what the employee profile dashboard is for. Now, this is everything I need to do in one place, and I can just work out of here, or at least have it open in a browser tab. So that is the employee dashboard. Let's move on and talk about time clocks. Time clocks, some people are fond of time clocks. Some people are decidedly not fond of time clocks. And oh, we've got a question here. Can I synchronize users against SharePoint users? Well, SharePoint tends to synchronize against Azure Active Directory or Windows Active Directory or a number of authentication providers. We will synchronize against the same source that you're using for your SharePoint users. So essentially, we'll all use a common identity source. We do not, how about this? We support the notion of you having a dedicated username and password just for WEBCON BPS, but we really want you to use that as a last resort. We think you'll have it works seamlessly. We think you'll have a better experience synchronizing with whatever directory you find authoritative. Basically, we do exactly what SharePoint does in terms of pluggable authentication providers to talk to multiple things. That's a good question. Sorry to interrupt for the rest of you, but I suspect others of you might care about that as well, and I just noticed that a question popped up. Let's talk about a time clock. And so what I'm going to do is this, which should take me, whoops, the time clock application. I'm going to have Wayne do this because I don't think Wayne is punched in yet. So here's the deal. When Wayne registered his profile, he indicated when he expected to be working. And no matter, that's just expectations. That lets his manager and his coworkers know when he should be online. If we were just using something like Teams or Slack or any of a number of things, we wouldn't know when to expect him online unless there was some sort of in-out board with a schedule or something to that effect. And that's really what the employee profile is for. It's for many things, but one is to create expectations as to when we should look for Wayne online. And for Wayne to say when he's online, let's do this. Look, not everybody likes punching a time clock, but if we make punching a time clock painless, well, then that's not going to be so bad. Now we're basically saying Wayne is expecting to work from 8 to 4 today, and he's punching in a little bit late, so this is going to be a little bit different. These were plans, but we can change them. It doesn't matter. We're just going to go straight to punching in. All right, so here's his today presence. We can open this up and see what's going on. So this is where we will log activity for the day. And I can essentially say, first thing I wound up doing is preparing expense reports. Oh, let's call this administrative, admin. Wasn't delegated to me by anyone. And I'm just going to say I spent 0.5 hours on this. All right, I'll add other activity coming on, and this can be populated with tasks assigned to me, by the way. Just haven't had any tasks assigned to me yet that I can refer to. But anyway, that's, oh, it would show up here under task lists if I had been assigned any such tasks. When I'm done with my day, I come here and I hit punch out. In the meantime, I'm just going to save this and come back to it later. It's a time card. It's not magic, but it absolutely positively works. Now, let's talk about task management, because it's one thing to give somebody a task with a deadline and a description and the ability to say, yeah, I completed it. But some tasks are much more complicated than that. I'm going to come here and assign someone a task. And let's say we'll give this to, who's the next person over here? I believe that's Engelbert. Fine. So this task is going to be design cover sheet for TPS reports. And we're going to say we want to start putting cover sheets on TPS reports. So if you will design one and get back to us, that'd be great. Let's assign this one to Engelbert. And there's several people with an E in their name, but that one comes up. Let's see, category, how about we do this? I'm going to stick with other. Deadline, how about we give this a deadline of Friday, and priority is normal. Let's assign it. Now I can keep track of tasks that I have assigned to people, but this is going to show up over here. This is Engelbert, and if we take a look at his profile, I should see that the need to design a cover sheet. Here's my task assignment process. See, these are, when we say all my tasks, notice how the instance numbers change a little bit. And this is not the name of the task. This is the name of the process that's running at the moment. This task, TSK 2020-801, this is something that was, it's part of the task assignment process. It was done in the year 2020 in the 8th month. It's the first one of the month. Here's one that involves outgoing mail. Here's one that involves incoming mail. There's a lot of stuff on his plate. This is an all-up view of all tasks coming from all processes. And if he wants to look at it in the form of a report with a lot of metadata, this is a handy way to do it. There's another way to do it, which is to just look there. And here is this task about, we want to start putting cover sheets on TPS reports. Now there are a couple of things that we can do. One is to log time spent. The other one is to create multiple subtasks that allow us to do a roll-up view of all activity taking place regarding this task and other ones. And it allows essentially for me to create a task for my department heads to do. And then they in turn can either do the task themselves or farm it out to their department heads. But I will have the ability to take a look at that task from here and see every task and every subtask related to it that everyone is doing, if I wish to do so. Realistically speaking, I'm only going to pay attention to it if it runs overtime. And yes, it will be flagged and I will be alerted if it runs out past its deadline. We set that up automatically as well. So that is task assignments. Let's move on and talk about the next application. This one is document delivery and read consent tracking. This is one of the ones that are, it's a little overlooked. It's the kind of thing that we would have done on premises by posting something in the break room or in the mail room or any of a number of common areas to make sure everybody sees it and everyone reads it. Or I would be doing it over email. In fact, this is even if I do have everyone working inside the office, I still want this application because it is designed to make sure everybody reads something or everybody consents to something or doesn't, as the case may be. Let's check it out. I'm going to go back over here, and this one doesn't start on the dashboard. The task will appear on the dashboard, but if I want to create a new must-read document or to get voting done or other kinds of things like that, I need to come here. So let's go to document distribution and tracking. And I want to make sure everyone reads the new travel policy. By the way, I hope you'll notice, I like knowing what the steps are in a process and where I am in the process at all times, and if it's an external task, who it's assigned to, and so on and so forth. So I like keeping this up. Some people find it cluttering. It's with one click, it goes away. And again, if you are a new user touching this, you won't see that at first unless you actively ask for it. I like keeping it up, so I'm going to. All right, new travel policy is the name of the document. Please make sure you're aware of this and acknowledge that you've read it. All right, I'm actually going to assign this to all employees, and let's find the document that we want to have everyone take a look at. How it's the new travel policy. Where is it? Let's pretend and say that this is the right one. All right. And so I've attached the document I want to make sure everyone reads. Let's submit it for distribution, and away it goes. Now check this out. Let's go over to Engelbert and we'll refresh his tasks. There it is. Now I'm going to be asked to take a look at it. Did I forget to add the attachment? I think I forgot to add the attachment. Yep, I forgot to add the attachment. I selected an attachment, but I didn't click the attach button. All right, let's pretend I did that because that was user error. And I am going to click on acknowledge. Yep, I saw that. Everything is done. Now I'm looking at other tasks I have on my plate. We'll stick with that. All right, everybody in the organization is going to wind up seeing that kind of task. If I come here, either through the employee profile page. If I come here, I will see the same kind of thing. I'll acknowledge it. And then I have the ability to go back, take a look at documents that I've sent out for distribution and see who's acknowledged it, and also alternatively see who has not. In fact, we even have something built into the workflow process that had I established a deadline, I could have hassled people with notification messages that they need to take a look at it. Same thing is possible. Actually, yeah, let's go back. If I want to create a new document to consent, it's almost identical. The difference is if it's a consent request, then what people are going to see, it's probably easiest if I come here, is whether I grant consent or decline. If I decline, I need to provide an explanation. In fact, it'll give me a pop-up message saying you need to provide an explanation if I fail to do so. So let's see. I can't guarantee that response time with low bandwidth. And so on and so forth. All right. That's document distribution and tracking. Next application up is Mailroom. And I must confess, look, I'm a digital guy, and to me, I think if it involves paper mail, I think someone has failed somehow. I'm not in the majority. Not only am I not in the majority, I'm not even sure I'm in a large minority. As it turns out, to a lot of people, paper mail matters. It happens all the time. And that involves sending people physical copies of things. That involves receiving physical copies of things. It certainly applies to packages. And if you have a lot of remote workers, it's going to be considerably more difficult to deal with physical mail than it would be otherwise. And so we've created an application we call Mailroom, and let me show you what it looks like. Let's go here to Applications and Mailroom. And this is one of those ones where we think the default system dashboard fits the situation quite well. I have a number of reports for looking at different delivery types and what needs to be done by the mail people today, all active, outgoing, and incoming mail items. Here, why don't we do this? I am receiving a package. And so what I'm going to do, it came from ABC Corporation, and didn't have to, I'm not required to indicate which customer it came from, but it did happen to come from someone we have an existing relationship with. And it came from Doug Douglas. And I'm not going to deal with any of that. We know Doug. Okay, the document name is package, large package. I could do all kinds of things here, but really this is enough. And the recipient for this happens to be Engelbert. So what do we want to do? I actually want to ask Engelbert what he wants to have done with this. Okay, so I in the mailroom am done for the moment. Workflow instance has been updated, and if I come back over here to Engelbert's area and refresh it, or wait 30 seconds so it would auto refresh, I'll see that there's an incoming mail task here. And if I click here, I can see details about it. Yeah, I'll tell them what I want to do about it. Let's click edit and say I will respond. And what I want you to do is send it to my address. So, and I forgot to put my address inside of my profile, so it is not auto-filled. So let me put it in here, 5100 51st Street, Seattle, Washington, 98101, whoops, USA. All right, and I will respond. I could have also said leave it at the office. I'll come by later in the week in order to get it. I also had the option to ask them to scan it and send it to me and so on. Similarly, when it comes to, let's go back here. Let's have Engelbert go to the Mailroom app and request that some outgoing mail gets sent. He only sees the option to send outgoing mail because he's not part of the group of people that work in the mailroom. So what Engelbert wants to do is send an agreement to XYZ Corporation, and the recipient is our buddy Doug. Now, we happen to know XYZ's contact details. The document name would be new agreement. Owner of that document is actually me, or not me, Engelbert. The department, it's sales. And you should deliver this using a courier service. No, there's nothing to scan. I've actually already created the necessary document, and I will attach it. You know something? Let's keep this interesting. I want a receipt to be there, and what I could do is identify a document from a standard catalog. Say we have standard marketing materials that we might want to include, that kind of thing. I could say go to the category of available stock documents and include them in this as well. But this involves a custom document. So let's go here and grab that. Okay, that's our new agreement. And let's register this. What did I forget? Oh, I need to assign this to somebody. All right, I want you to assign this to, definitely not Engelbert. Let's have Tom deal with it. Okay, hit register. I had not configured this to say who the default task workers were for certain key documents. All right, this becomes a task that the mailroom will deal with in order to get that stuff sent out using physical mail. Because me working at home, or Engelbert for that matter, working at home, we don't necessarily have everything we need in order to send out packages or draft agreements on official letterhead and so on. All right, so that's that. I see a new question popping up. Oh, no, it's just a thank you for answering the previous question. No problem. All right, let's move on from Mailroom and talk about, those are two simple, no, they're not really simple processes. There's more going on than you see. In fact, here, something that might be, it might be fun to show you what some of these processes actually look like. We've been focusing on just what it's like to use them, but to give you a sense that what you think of as simple handling in the mailroom shouldn't require any effort. This is one of those things that you do naturally if you've got the luxury of having everyone in one place. But when things happen on a remote basis, well, life tends to get more interesting. This is what the simplified version of the incoming mail process looks like. All right, if I get new incoming mail registered, one of my options is just to route this directly to the receiver, in which case I just wait for the receiver to confirm that they got it, and then I mark it as received and it's completed. But I might need to obtain routing instructions, and then I might need to dispatch it in the way they find important. And if I need to get confirmation for it, then I need to wait for it and make sure it shows up. But it may be something I can just fire and forget and send and not have to worry about tracking it afterwards, in which case it'll go straight to completed. That's the simplified version of that process. Believe me, it can get considerably more interesting than that in an organization with any real structure, especially if it involves scanning documents that have come in and so on. So the more you have remote work going on, the more it is actually pretty important to have processes in place for dealing with remote work and dealing with tangible physical mail. This stuff was easy when everybody was in one place. This is how we deal with outgoing mail. It's not as simple as it looks either. Again, we're not going to dwell on the specifics of this, especially because we kind of expect that everybody that grabs these applications will wind up changing them. WEBCON makes that really, really easy. But I do want you to have the sense of, look, there's more going on here, and some people will realize that intimately, and others kind of just need to be shown the way, and that's perfectly fine. We're happy to do it. What's the next application? Oh, right, procurement requests. Now, in this particular case, this is a little bit different. Procurement requests, you probably have an ERP system or an accounting system or some other purchasing system in place that is used by authorized people to request stuff and indicate which budget it goes to and track fulfillment of the order and selecting vendors and everything else. If you don't, we actually have an application template for that on howto.webcon.com that does a good job of it. This is not that. This is having employees working from home generally requesting that their managers order things for them, or their purchasing person within their department order things for them. In other words, I need some stuff that would normally be taken care of automatically within the office. I would just go into the supply room and grab what I need, but I can't do that. I'm working from home. So what do I do? Well, let me show you. I'll go back over here and I will return to my employee dashboard. And I'll do an equipment request. So it's pretty simple looking. All I really need to do is indicate what I need. I need equipment. And who's going to deal with this? I'm going to send it to my manager. And the description is I'm out of, let's see. Sure, toner. I'd normally, no, that printer stuff, remember we have a mailroom for that. That's probably not realistic. My headset is faulty. Send it to, and again, had I supplied in my profile what my address was, this would have been filled in for me. My bad. 1313 Mockingbird Lane, Seattle, Washington, 916, USA. All right. My manager will make a point of ordering this for me, and this will be connected to that other process, and I will receive updates. The idea is to keep it nice and simple for me, and then nice and integrated for her. That's it. It's simple looking. It's supposed to be simple looking because this is the application that we really expect you to adapt pretty quickly to either call web services to talk to your ERP system or to link into another WEBCON process that's not part of these 8 applications that can handle purchasing for you. Like I said, we have examples of that. They're on howto.webcon.com. All right, next one. Helpdesk. Now, the thing about a helpdesk is this application would exist whether you have people working from home, people working at the office. However, if you don't have a helpdesk solution, you absolutely must have one if you've got people working remotely. You should have one even if you've got people working from a single location. Otherwise, it's just random email that you can't track and can't identify problems and can't follow up on things and set deadlines for and assign subject matter experts and so on and so forth. So it's a help desk solution, but it's not a bad one. Let's go here. And we've struck a balance of making it not excessively complicated. But here we go. Let's go ahead and send out a help desk request. And Engelbert has got an issue with, let's see, sluggish mouse. Category, well, that's probably hardware. Yep. Priority is medium. Mouse has become unresponsive. I'm not sure if it's a driver, a cord, or what. Okay, by the way, since we said it was hardware, that's the subject person who leads the team of hardware troubleshooters, and Wayne is assisted by Jack. Oh, Wayne only has one extra person on his team, so it's just those 2 people. That's fine. Don't really need any more detail with that, so we will submit it. And it looks like I have an error. What did I forget? Well, we have a connectivity error. It's not me. Okay, let's try that again. All right, I will yep. Sorry, gang, this is a technical difficulty at the network level. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Just before we started, I had a different user submit a request, and it should be waiting within the Helpdesk application. So there's a new equipment request. Here's a new Helpdesk request. If I'm a Helpdesk person, I will see that request right here. Let's take a peek at it. No, it looks like we've run into some technical difficulties with Azure. I am going to quit while I'm ahead. You saw what a web help desk request looked like. I am going to, for the recording of this, I will make sure that everything worked correctly and just create some fresh video for the recording of this. We were at the last one. Helpdesk was the last application to look at anyway. So let's pivot back to some of the slides. Setting this up is actually pretty easy. You've got three basic options. Option number one, if you're an existing customer of WEBCON BPS, you just need to download the application templates. I'll show you where they are in just a moment. If you are an on-premises person or you run virtual machines in the cloud, you've got Azure or AWS or the Google Cloud platform or any platform really. If you've got access to virtual or physical machines, you can get a hold of, if you just want to try us out, WEBCON BPS Express. It's a lot like SQL Server Express. It is not restricted in terms of time. You can use it forever. You can get updates. It's a real copy of the software. It's limited to 10 gigabytes of storage, and it does not support moving applications from a dev environment to a test environment to a production environment. You're just building in one place. The full version of WEBCON BPS loves doing application lifecycle management amongst different stages and tiers. But the Express version does not. Other than that, though, the functionalities, it's full functionality. You can do really meaningful work in it and use it in production. We're fine with that. So you can grab that, run it either in a virtual machine in the cloud or run it in a physical or virtual machine on premises and download the apps and deploy them to it. We also have a software as a service offering. In fact, that's where my examples are coming from. And that environment, if you turn on in webconapps.com, sign up for a tenant and create a trial for 60 days, you've got an environment to play in, and it comes with the apps that we're talking about here pre-installed. Now, if you are an existing customer or you want to go the Express route, this is the URL in order to get all the remote work stuff. However, and I'm putting it here so that someone looking at the recording has got access to it, but let me show you exactly where it is. Here. This is webcon.com. This is our website, and I could take you directly to that link, but the easiest thing to do is webcon.com, search remote. And this is a link actually to this webinar, but this is a link to the press release about the remote work applications. This third one, Streamline Remote Work. Even the press release has a link to this page. But anyway, this is watching a video of all the applications in action. It's something, actually, I recorded it last month. But if you want to get the apps, here's a description of each one of these applications. And if you want to grab them, you can either subscribe to our cloud offering. That's webconapps.com. It's the WEBCON BPS cloud. You click subscribe and you're off to the races. Otherwise, download WEBCON BPS Express and register and download. But if you just want to get the applications as a downloadable package, follow the WEBCON BPS Express route and then click this link to download the applications. They'll show up in a zip file. They're in a, open up the zip file. There are BPE files and business process export packages. You just import those and you are ready to go. And that, as they say, is that. They are meant to be moved. You can take these applications, if you work with them in the 60-day trial environment and you decide you really want to put them into production and you would prefer to run those in a dedicated machine in the cloud, or you would like to run them on premises or something like that, or you tried it in a trial environment but you need to move it somewhere else. They, like every WEBCON application is designed to be extremely portable. You can migrate it with the current status of every running workflow instance intact when it arrives at the destination. You can migrate them and all the history comes with it. So current status, history, all data, all everything. Applications are very movable, manipulable, portable in the world of WEBCON. The other thing is these applications are absolutely designed to be changed. We've done countless webinars and other things about WEBCON's instant change technology, but essentially it means that we can make changes to applications like the Mailroom application you saw a few minutes ago. And that change will be available even to workflows that are in progress. We don't need to recall them and restart them for them to get the new changes. We don't need to resign ourselves to the work in progress being the old way and not what we want anymore. No, any change we make can affect all application instances instantly. It's rather nice indeed. Is there a demonstration of WEBCON and SharePoint integration? Yes, absolutely. I've just received a question. If you take a look at our YouTube channel, there is a webinar I did, I think it was 2 months ago, maybe 3, where I showed interoperability between WEBCON BPS and SharePoint and Office 365. And so it's possible for us to have every application you're seeing here surface inside of SharePoint sites, as it looks like a native SharePoint app living inside of Modern Pages. It's also completely usable inside of Teams and inside of Outlook. But yes, 100%, we are absolutely able to behave like a seamless part of not just Office 365 and not just SharePoint on premises, but a lot of different environments. In fact, if it's got a customizable user interface, you can even grab embed tags from our own portal and then use those as elements inside other people's portals. So these applications are meant to be changed. They're meant to be migrated. They're meant to be made your own, to use the way you want and the place you want. So in summary, when you take the support for business entities and all of these things that you've seen, especially when you combine it with instant change, that sums up to a better way to workflow, something we like to call the WEBCON way. Thank you very, very much for attending. And if you have any more questions, I'll hang around for a few moments to answer them, but you can always get answers to things from www.webcon.com. I did mention that if you had a procurement solution or a procurement request solution coming from users to procurers or managers, that if you didn't have an ERP system of your own, but you wanted a process to be made in WEBCON BPS for handling purchase requests, the requests from the manager to the vendor, I said that we had some examples of that. I'll tell you what, since I wasn't able to show you that final example, let me show you where that stuff lives. I'm going to go here, instead of starter.webcon.com, let's go to howto.webcon.com. And here in howto.webcon.com, you can see application templates. And this involves much, much, much more than just the 8 that we give you for remote work facilitation. And we have more than just these available in other ways. In fact, if you contact anyone at WEBCON, we can hook you up with a lot of different application templates, but these are the ones that we have readily available for a lot of different kinds of things. So invoice processing, marketing orders, press releases, training courses, even ordering lunch for employees. So you work in an industrial park and lunch gets catered at a different point. You can take orders to give to the caterers so that they're ready at different points in time. Lots of different options here, and this is also where we keep our technical database, a lot of other questions, and a lot of other facilities. So webcon.com in general for a wide variety of information. howto.webcon.com for technical information. And then, of course, our YouTube channel has got a lot of good stuff there. I'm not seeing any additional questions other than the ones that were already asked. So I'd like to thank you very much for attending this webinar, and hope you have a great rest of your day or evening. And do get in touch with us and do visit our website. Bye, everyone.